I think this notion that AI is somehow going to carry the entire economy and the market upwards is a delusion. It is going to change the way we work and live. So that is, I think, the biggest thing about AI. This isn't like the metaverse. I don't think that AI or any other buzzword adds 0.5% or 1% to GDP on a net basis. It might on a gross basis, but it does so by destroying other businesses that contribute to the GDP as well. In fact, if you go back and you look at PCs and you look at the internet, you look at social media, each was stated to be, hey, this will make the economy grow faster. And we look at the growth in GDP, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000 to 2010, you look at those decades, the growth of GDP is actually lower than it was before any of these buzzwords made it. So you're saying, but how do you then explain the fact that these businesses, the businesses that came out of these buzzwords grew as much as they did? They did, but they came at the expense of other businesses that shrunk and went away. The net effect of AI is going to be close to zero. That doesn't mean there are going to be no winners and losers. There are going to be winners and losers, obviously, but the net effect on the economy is not going to be positive. I'll make that prediction. So if anybody's sitting there saying GDP is going to grow at 5% a year because AI is here, I think you need to get your head screwed on straight, which is if AI does something better than somebody else, that somebody else now loses a job. So I think this notion that AI is somehow going to carry the entire economy and the market upwards is a delusion. In my lifetime, I've seen three big revolutionary changes. The PC coming out and changing the way we worked and we lived. And that's key. Revolutionary changes are not just in businesses, they change the way we live. So the PC business in the 1980s, the internet in the 1990s, clearly the smartphone in the decade after, and social media. All four changed the way we work and live. All four created winners. The PC business's biggest winner is Microsoft. The internet's biggest winner is Amazon. The smartphone's biggest winner is Apple. And social media was still contesting it, but it might be Google and Facebook. But the reality is, if you look at each of these big movements, those winners might have been worth tens, hundreds of billions, maybe even trillions of dollars. But the net effect on markets was surprisingly neutral because for those winners, there were dozens, even hundreds of losers. So Amazon might be worth $2 trillion. But think of the debris it's left along the way of brick and mortar retail. So I'll make a prediction about AI. It is going to change the way we work and live. So that is, I think, the biggest thing about AI. This isn't like the metaverse. AI has the capacity to do it. And if history is any guide, it will create winners. And the winners might not be the companies you think will win at the start of the move. The start of the PC business, we thought IBM is going to walk away as the big winner. And if you look at the winners from the PC business itself, Dell and Compaq, they're gone pretty much as big businesses. There will be winners from the AI business. Right now, we've anointed Nvidia and Microsoft as the big winners. Nvidia, to me, reminds me a great deal of Cisco. It is creating the architecture for AI, which is critical, right? And architecture businesses are the ones that monetize these big revolutionary changes the first. Cisco started to make money well before Amazon started to make money because you need the architecture built. So I think NVIDIA has the advantage of being one of the first companies that will monetize AI and be able to show profits and growth, and it already is. But the architecture part of a revolutionary change business is never going to be 50%, 30%, or even 20% of the business. I mean, Cisco, once everything got played out, was not 50% of the internet. So even if you believe the Goldman Sachs numbers for AI being a $3 trillion business or a $4 trillion business, the architecture for AI, which is what NVIDIA provides, can't be more than $500 billion. AI is a buzzword. It is clearly going to change the way businesses work and the way we live. But you can't keep using that as a rationale for pushing up the prices of companies without getting specific about, hey, what part of AI is this company in? How does it plan to monetize that? And will it be able to withstand the competition that's coming? When you have a big market and people keep using the macro story to justify, here's why I'm paying more for the company, it's an AI company. we don't ask the right questions. So in the process, we push up the pricing of companies to levels that cannot be sustained, even if our market story is right. So even if you take the AI optimists at their word, concede the size of the market, then you work backwards and you say, I can't explain what Nvidia is trading at, even with your most optimistic story. And then you're stretching the story to breaking point. But that's what happens when you don't ask specifics. You don't deal with specifics. Just pricing companies. I think you're starting to see some cleaning up happening because eventually the delusion breaks. The delusion breaks because the numbers start to roll in. You recognize that notwithstanding your upbeat and optimistic stories, there's only so much you can do. And here's what you're going to see for the delusion breaking at the market level. People talk about how much companies will spend on AI. That's what's driving this. It's a B2B business. It's not what you and I will be spending on AI. It's what companies will be spending on AI. That's key, right? Companies spending on AI is a cost item for them, which means that if you put in the AI business at 3 or 4 trillion, that's a cost item for companies that are spending on it. So look at the other side of the picture. If companies are spending 4 trillion in AI, that's going to come out of their profits. So for the AI companies to become valuable, other companies will have to get less. This isn't a plus for everybody. It's pluses for some, minuses for others. And the sooner we're clear-eyed about which companies will emerge from this as winners and which as losers, the better the questions we will ask. At this stage, it's lazy arguments. It's arguments of AI is going to be big, so therefore I will push up the price. That's it. That's the entire pricing story. And when you're pricing something, that's all you need. Why are you pushing up the price? Because AI is big. Why are you pushing it up even more? Because AI is big. As long as you don't say how big and what aspect of AI you're talking about, there can't be any pushback. But I've seen this movie before. This isn't the first time we've seen this. I remember at the early stage of the internet, you'd see companies getting pushed up. And the only argument is the internet is going to be big. It turned out to be really big, but lots of companies that got pushed up in anticipation of the internet getting big never got big themselves. There's many a slip between the cup and the lip. And in this case, I think unless we ask the right questions, we could be right about the big story of AI being a revolutionary change and wrong about every investment story we create based on it. I think the problem with architecture companies is you hit a ceiling, right? There's only so much architecture. Cisco had a ceiling. It overshot that ceiling in 1999 when it hit a $400 billion market cap. That was the peak of the dot-com boom. People acted like you'd keep spending money on infrastructure, never ask the question, who's coming up with all this money to spend? So I think Nvidia is going to have a ceiling because of that. I'll tell you one thing in favor of Nvidia. I call it my opportunistic growth company. It's a company that's managed to find new markets and jump into them ahead of everybody else. It did it with gaming, it did it with crypto, it did it with AI. The first time you can call them lucky. The second time you can call them really lucky. The third time around, there's something the company is doing that's allowing them to get ahead of their competition in big markets. So if you're an optimist in Nvidia, it's not because AI is going to carry you there, but because you think there is another big undiscovered market there for chips, where Nvidia is going to get there. Is it plausible? Yes. Given Nvidia's history, it's a bet you could make. But be clear about the bet you're making. It's not AI that justifies the $3 trillion. It's the expectation that Nvidia will find another business out there